we're kind of questioning who the referee will be. It won't be John Beaton, will it? I know I'll have like loads of you thinking, it's the SFA, Hamish, they do this from time to time. What are they like, etc. I would be surprised if it's John Beaton, given what's going on recently and the controversy that surrounded him. And to be honest, has surrounded him with regards to Celtic matches in recent years. But obviously it's only, gone up in recent weeks with that, game at Tynecastle when he was on VAR. It surely won't be John Beaton. Surely. It's John Beaton. Yes, John Beaton will take charge of Sunday's derby between Rangers and Celtic. He will be assisted by Daniel McFarlane and Dougie Potter, with Willie Collum as the fourth official, Nick Walsh on VAR, and Frank Connor as the assistant VAR. Now, as I outlined in that rather wacky intro a minute or so ago, I am genuinely quite surprised that the SFA have decided to give this game to John Beaton. There's a few reasons for that. I guess his recent controversy, and the controversy that included Celtic as well, regarding Brendan Rodgers calling him incompetent, or certainly his performance in that game at Tynecastle incompetent, and the fallout that existed from that. I genuinely just thought the SFA would decide not to put John Beaton forward for this game. I know they're always at pains to point out that no referee is banned or excluded from any match. That's what they say publicly, but deep down that's not how it works, and I just felt that they would go for a safer option given the kind of fallout that there's been over John Beaton in recent weeks. I guess looking back, possibly the signs were all there for this happening. I just, when I saw the announcement, I thought back to the comments we touched on a few weeks ago from the SFA chief executive Ian Maxwell, when he was talking about the need to back referees more, and he came under real fire from officials at that stormy meeting. And I just wondered if this is his way of backing the officials by putting one that's been under fire in recent weeks into the biggest fixture we have. I dare say Crawford Allen has got a fair bit to do with it as well, and he's obviously away in the summer anyway, so doesn't have to deal with the consequences. But yeah, Rodgers' comments are one thing, and that, in my opinion, should have been enough for him not to be getting this game. But there's also real history with John Beaton and Celtic versus Rangers matches, and two in particular, both at Ibrox. You'll remember the one that we lost back in, I think, late 2018, when Alfredo Morelos was basically given carte blanche to go about and kick Celtic players wherever he wanted in the body. Anthony Ralston, I remember, going off injured that day. Celtic put out a statement after that match, very critical of the referee and the SFA and all of that stuff. And obviously the more recent example, when Connor Goldson turned into an NBA player and deflected or blocked a Celtic shot that was heading towards his goal, and nothing was given. VAR was even an option in that game, and VAR didn't even decide that it was worth a second look either. So to be fair to John Beaton in that one, Connor Goldson's got away with handballs with a number of referees, so he's not alone in that regard. But I just think with all of that factored in, not even to mention the pubs that he allegedly frequents or used to frequent on a Saturday night. Anyway, who knows what way it will go on Sunday. To be honest, I'm just as worried, if not more worried, about Nick Walsh being on VAR and what could happen there. I guess it may at least make Brendan Rodgers' team talk a little bit easier. Everyone has it in for you at the moment. Go and show them. That may or may not be true. That's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. If that's the way he's going to inspire the team and just add that little bit of edge to us going into a real hostile environment in more than one way, then I'm all for that. So yeah, that happened yesterday, and I guess it's going to be even more interesting to see how Sunday goes. By the way, Sunday will be John Beaton's 6th Glasgow derby. We've won just one of the previous 5, as you can see, with a couple of draws in there too. A couple of the matches that I just mentioned a minute ago included in there. So yeah, number 6 for him as referee on Sunday. Now, some pretty good Joe Hart quotes that I want to bring to your attention. They've been in a number of outlets, including the Herald overnight. Joe Hart has basically been talking about being a Celtic fan forever and potentially going to watch the team play in the future, maybe even in the away end at Ibrox. He's quoted as saying, "I genuinely look forward to supporting this club forever. It's a part of me. This is me removing myself from a guy who doesn't want to talk about what's next, but I look forward to being a football supporter at some point in my life, and this is one of the teams I'll be a fan of." On the return of away fans to the fixture, that's 5% from next season, Hart said, "I'm going to remove myself from the situation I'm in now because my immediate reaction is that it means nothing to me. But if I was to take away the guy I'll be when it's going on, it'll be great. It'll be a real buzz. I've played in a 50-50 split here when it was at Hampden and it was electric. Come out good side, come out the bad side, it's emotional. Since I've been here, we've had fans. I think the most has been 700 to 750, and it was strange at the start of the season winning away and having no one to put your gratitude towards, because even though we played without supporters that day, you still feel it in the build-up to have your support and your club behind you. So it'll be nice, it'll be a great spectacle. Around the world, this fixture is heavily respected, and to keep that respect, you need away supporters in there. You never know, I might be one of those couple of thousand." So yeah, a couple of things to take away from those quotes. The first one is just like the love Joe Hart clearly has for Celtic, and I think the Celtic support, have for Joe Hart as well. Yes, he gets some criticism sometimes, but I think when he leaves at the end of the season, you won't be able to find a Celtic fan who isn't at least thankful for what he's done for the club in his 3 years. And he'll certainly be welcome back at Celtic Park, whether that's on the pitch, to do the Paradise Windfall draw or whatever, or in the stands. He's the kind of guy I can imagine just rocking up one day in the standing section. And the buzz going around that Joe Hart has arrived back and all of that stuff, and you just get these people sometimes, like off the top of my head, like Mikael Lustig, Joe Ledley, Jota. These are all people who came to the club not being Celtic fans like Joe Hart, but have gone away as Celtic fans and will always kind of be invited along to Celtic supporters' dinners and functions and Celtic Park events, and will always come back to games, and will always, I think, look out for Celtic's score at the weekend, regardless of where they are and what they're up to. And I think that's really special. The other thing I'd like to take away from that is the ability that fans have to play an impact on the team for this weekend. And even though they're going into the Lions' Den, cue Steven Gerrard, there are going to be any Lions there, are they? Patter. We can still, let them all know that we're right behind them. And, we've seen stuff in the past. I mean, this great footage of the kind of ultras stuff at Lennoxtown a number of years ago. I can't quite recall what game that was actually for, but the message was loud and clear that day for the players when they went out to training, and I think we'll see similar stuff in the coming days, given that it's such a big game. And even though we have no fans there at Ibrox, the team aren't alone, and I think it's huge the fact they've already won at Ibrox this season with no fans. They know they can do it, and they can do it without Carter Vickers and Hatate, who will, both hopefully be back for this weekend. So that's all positive. I haven't actually covered the whole 5% away allocation thing that's kicking in from next season. Anyone who's heard me, talking the subject in the past will know that I'm for bigger away supports. I don't think getting back to the old days where we had 7,500 at Ibrox and they had over 8,000 at Celtic Park, I don't think that's going to happen. Certainly not in the next couple of years. I think this was the next logical step to get to that so-called European allocation. And I actually think people are underestimating the impact that 5% of a stadium supporting the away team can have on the overall atmosphere. I mean, this is what we're looking at. This was taken from a Liverpool trip to Ibrox in the Champions League a couple of years ago. They won that 7-1, by the way, just in case you forgot. And that's how many Liverpool fans. That's just around 2,500 Liverpool fans. And Rangers have already confirmed this is exactly where Celtic supporters will be housed for derbies at their stadium from next season onwards. So that should make for, a real proper derby-like atmosphere, and I think it's a good thing all over. In terms of Sunday, the Scottish Sun have reported that Lewis Palma is expected to be back in training this week and available for Sunday's derby. We touched on Callum McGregor yesterday. This would be another boost. Palma, I think, hasn't played for probably around about a month. I believe it was just before the Livingston Scottish Cup quarter-final. He picked up a muscle injury in training. I don't think he would start at Ibrox. I think that's a real long shot. You're not going to see Lewis Palma in the starting lineup on Sunday. But, he's another option that we could have off the bench. And I think if the news is good with him, and, even more importantly, I think it's fair to say the news is good with Callum McGregor, we're looking at a full squad being available for the game on Sunday. And that's something that I don't think we've had all season. And it's all arriving at the right time. So I think that's positive news, even if Palma himself isn't someone who's going to start the match. Having him around, is obviously a good thing, could offer us something off the bench perhaps. In other Honduras news, by the way, Emilio Ezagiri is in for the Celtic Legends clash against Borussia Dortmund Legends, Celtic Park on May the 26th. So that will be fun to see him back for that one. But that's all very much in the far distance at this stage. Right now we're just focusing in on what is a huge game on Sunday. The build-up is continuing. It is only going to be ramped up over the next 72 hours or so. And we'll be taking part in that, let's just say. Right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Speak to you tomorrow when we'll only be, 3 days away from kick-off.